My name is Karen Matthews, and I am representing Weyburn Free Methodist Church. Today's reading is from Judges chapters 6 to 9, and I will be reading from the Amplified version of the Bible. But the Israelites did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel. Because of Midian, the Israelites made themselves the dens which are in the mountains, and the caves, and the strongholds. For whenever Israel had sown their seed, the Midianites and the Amalekites and the people of the east came up against them. They would encamp against them and destroy the crops as far as Gaza, and leave no nourishment for Israel, and no ox or sheep or donkey. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came like locusts for multitude. Both they and their camels could not be counted. So they wasted the land as they entered it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the Israelites cried to the Lord. And when they cried to the Lord because of Midian, the Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites, who said to them, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage. And I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of all who oppressed you, and drove them out from before you and gave you their land. And I said to you, I am the Lord your God. Fear not the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But you have not obeyed my voice." Now the angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite. And his son Gideon was beating wheat in the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "The Lord is with you, you mighty man of courage." And Gideon said to him, "O sir, if the Lord is with us, why is all this befallen us? And where are all his wondrous works of which our fathers told us, saying, Did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has forsaken us and given us into the hand of the Midian." The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in this your might, and you shall save Israel from the hand of the Midian. Have I not sent you?" Gideon said to him, "O Lord, how can I deliver Israel? Behold, my clan is the poorest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house." The Lord said to him, "Surely I will be with you, and you shall smite the Midianites as one man." Gideon said to him, "If now I have found favor in your sight, then show me a sign that it is you who talks with me. Do not leave here, I pray you, until I return to you and bring my offering and set it before you." And he said, "I will wait until you return." Then Gideon went in and prepared a kid and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The meat he put in a basket and the broth in a pot, and brought them to him under the oak and presented them. And the angel of God said to him, "Take the meat and unleavened cakes and lay them on this rock and pour the broth over them." And he did so. Then the angel of the Lord reached out the tip of the staff that was in his hand and touched the meat and the unleavened cakes, and there flared up fire from the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord vanished from his sight. And when Gideon perceived that he was the angel of the Lord, Gideon said, "Alas, O Lord God, for now I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face." The Lord said to him, "Peace be to you. Do not fear, you shall not die." Then Gideon built an altar there to the Lord and called it, "The Lord is Peace." To this day it still stands in Ophrah, which belongs to the Abiezrites. That night the Lord said to Gideon, "Take your father's bull, the second bull, 7 years old, and pull down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the Asherah that is beside it. And build an altar to the Lord your God on top of this stronghold, with stones laid in proper order. Then take the second bull and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the Asherah, which you shall cut down." Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as the Lord had told him. But because he was too afraid of his father's household and the men of the city to do it by day, he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the Asherah was cut down that was beside it, and the second bull was offered on the altar which had been built. And they said to one another, "Who has done this thing?" And when they searched and asked, they were told, "Gideon, son of Joash, has done this thing." Then the men of the city commanded Joash, "Bring out your son that he may die, for he has pulled down the altar of Baal and cut down the Asherah beside it." But Joash said to all who stood against him, "Will you contend for Baal, or will you save him? He who will contend for Baal, let him be put to death while it is still morning. If Baal is a god, let him contend for himself, because one has pulled down his altar." Therefore, on that day, he called Gideon Jerubbaal, meaning "let Baal contend against him," because he had pulled down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the people of the east came together, and crossing the Jordan, encamped in the valley of Jezreel. But the Spirit of the Lord clothed Gideon with himself and took possession of him, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered to him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, and the Manassites were called to follow him, and he sent messengers to Asher, to Zebulun, and to Naphtali, and they came up to meet them. And Gideon said to God, "If you will deliver Israel by my hand, as you have said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew on the fleece only, and it is dry on all the ground, then I shall know that you will deliver Israel by my hand, as you have said." And it was so. When he rose early next morning and squeezed the dew out of the fleece, he wrung from it a bowlful of water. And Gideon said to God, "Let not your anger be kindled against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me make trial only this once with the fleece, I pray you. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew." And God did so that night, for it was dry on the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground. Then Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and all the people who were with him rose early and encamped beside the spring of Harod, and the camp of Midian was north of them by the hill of Moreh in the valley. The Lord said to Gideon, "The people who are with you are too many for me to give to the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel boast about themselves against me, saying, 'My own hand has delivered me.' So now proclaim in the ears of the men, saying, 'Whoever is fearful and trembling, let him turn back and depart from Mount Gilead.' And 22,000 of the men returned, but 10,000 remained. And the Lord said to Gideon, The men are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. And he of whom I say to you, this man shall go with you, shall go with you. And he of whom I say to you, this man shall not go with you, shall not go. So he brought the men down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, everyone who laps up the water with his tongue, as a dog laps it, you shall set him by himself. Likewise, everyone who bows down on his knees to drink. And the number of those who lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, was 300 men, but all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And the Lord said to Gideon, with the 300 men who lapped, I will deliver you and give the Midianites into your hand. Let all the others return, every man to his house. So the people took provisions and their trumpets in their hands, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man to his home, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was below him in the valley. That same night the Lord said to Gideon, arise, go down against their camp, for I have given it into your hand. But if you fear to go down, go with Purah your servant down to the camp. And you shall hear what they say, and afterward your hands shall be strengthened to go down against the camp. Then he went down with Purah his servant to the outposts of the camp of the armed men. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the sons of the east lay along the valley like locusts for multitude, and their camels were without number as the sand on the seashore for multitude. When Gideon arrived, behold, a man was telling a dream to his comrade, and he said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and behold, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the camp of the Midian, and came to the tent and struck it so that it fell, and turned it upside down so that the tent lay flat. And his comrade replied, this is nothing else but the sword of Gideon, son of Joash, a man of Israel. Into his hand God has given Midian and all the host. When Gideon heard the telling of the dream and its interpretation, he worshipped and returned to the camp of Israel and said, arise, for the Lord has given into your hand the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put into the hands of all of them trumpets and empty pitchers with torches inside the pitchers. And he said to them, look at me, then do likewise. When I come to the edge of their camp, do as I do. When I blow the trumpet, I and all who are with me, then you blow the trumpet also on every side of all the camp and shout for the Lord and for Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men who were with him came to the outskirts of the camp at the beginning of the middle watch, when the guards had just been changed, and they blew the trumpets and smashed the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and shattered the pitchers, holding the torches in their left hands, and in their right hands the trumpets to blow, leaving no chance to use swords. And they cried, the sword for the Lord and Gideon. They stood, every man in his place, round about the camp, and all the Midianite army ran. They cried out and fled. When Gideon's men blew the 300 trumpets, the Lord set every Midianite sword against his comrade and against all the army. And the army fled as far as Beth-shittah towards Zerah, as far as the border of Abel-meholah by Tabath. And the men of Israel were called together out of Naphtali and Asher and all Manasseh, and they pursued Midian. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all the hill country of Ephraim, saying, "Come down against the Midianites and take all the intervening fords as far as Bethbarah and also the Jordan." So all the men of Ephraim were gathered together and took all the fords as far as Bethbarah and also the Jordan. And the men of Ephraim took the two princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb, and they slew Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and Zeb they slew at the winepress of Zeb, and pursued Midian. And they brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon beyond the Jordan. And the men of Ephraim said to Gideon, "Why have you treated us like this, not calling us when you went to fight with Midian?" And they quarreled with him furiously. And he said to them, "What have I done now in comparison with you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of your big tribe of Ephraim better than the vintage of my little clan of Abiezer? God has given into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb, and Zeb, and what was I able to do in comparison with you?" Then their anger toward him was abated, and when he had said that, and Gideon came to the Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men with him, faint yet pursuing. And he said to the men of Succoth, "Give, I pray you, loaves of bread to the people who follow me, for they are faint, and I am pursuing Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of Midian." And the princes of Succoth said, "Are Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hand, that we should give bread to your army?" And Gideon said, "For that when the Lord has delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, I will thresh your flesh with the thorns and briars of the wilderness." And he went from there up to Penuel and made the same request, and the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Succoth had done. And Gideon said to the men of Penuel, "When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor with their army, about 15,000 men, all who were left of all of the army of the sons of the east, for there had fallen 120,000 men who drew the sword. And Gideon went up by the route of those who dwelt in tents east of Nobath and Jogbehah, and smote their camp unexpectedly, for the army thought itself secure. And Zebah and Zalmunna fled, and he pursued them and took the two kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and terrified all the army. Then Gideon, son of Joash, returned from the battle by the ascent of Heres. And he caught a young man of Succoth and inquired of him, and the youth wrote down for him the names of the officials of Succoth and its elders, 77 men. And he came to the man of Succoth and said, "Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, about whom you scoffed at me, saying, Are Zebah and Zalmunna now in your hand, that we should give bread to your men who are faint?" And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and briars, and with them he taught the men of Succoth a lesson. And he broke down the tower of the Penuel and slew the men of the city. Then Gideon said to Zebah and Zalmunna, "What kind of men were they whom you slew at Tabor?" And they replied, "They were like you. Each of them resembled the son of a king." And he said, "They were my brothers, the sons of my mother. As the Lord lives, if you had saved them alive, I would not slay you." And Gideon said to Jether, his firstborn, to embarrass them, "Up and slay them, But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a lad. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise yourself and fall on us, for as the man is, so is strength. And Gideon arose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna, and took the crescent-shaped ornaments that were on their camels' necks. Then the men of Israel said to Gideon, Rule over us, you and your son's son also, for you have delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said to them, I will not rule over you, and my son will not rule over you. The Lord will rule over you. And Gideon said to them, Let me make a request of you. Every man of you give me the earrings of his spoil. For the Midianites had gold earrings because they were Ishmaelites, general terms for all descendants of Keturah. And they answered, We will willingly give them. And they spread a garment, and every man cast on it the earrings of his spoil. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides the crescents and pendants and the purple garments worn by the kings of Midian, and the chains that were about their camels' necks. And Gideon made an ephod, a sacred high priest garment of it, and put it in his city of Ophrah, and all Israel paid homage to it there, and it became a snare to Gideon and to his family. This was Midian subdued before the Israelites, so that they lifted up their heads no more. And the land had peace and rest for 40 years in the days of Gideon. Jerubbaal, Gideon, son of Joash, went and dwelt in his own house. Now Gideon had 70 sons born to him, for he had many wives, and his concubine, who was in Shechem, also bore him a son, whom he named Abimelech. Gideon, son of Joash, died at a good old age and was buried in the tomb of Joash, his father, in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. As soon as Gideon was dead, the Israelites turned again and played the harlot after the Baals, and made Baal-berith their god. And the Israelites did not remember the Lord their God, who had delivered them out of the hand of all of their enemies on every side. Neither did they show kindness to the family of Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, in return for all the good which he had done for Israel. Now Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal, Gideon, went to Shechem to his mother's kinsmen and said to them, and to the whole clan of his mother's family, Say, I pray you, in the hearing of all the men of Shechem, which is better for you, that all 70 of the sons of Jerubbaal reign over you, or that one man rule over you? Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. And his mother kinsman spoke all these words concerning him in the hearing of all the men of Shechem, and their hearts inclined to follow Abimelech, for they said, He is our brother. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal-berith, with which Abimelech hired worthless and foolhardy men who followed him. And he went to his father's house at Ophrah, and slew his brothers.